I put everything on them. My anxieties, my fears, my hopes, my dreams.
He was athletic, fast, and had the undeniable charisma that made him one of the most electrifying men in sports entertainment. He was in shape, no doubt about it. Lean, muscular, and camera ready. But when he left WWE for Hollywood in the early 2000s, the game changed.
Oh, I got plenty of go.
The Rock, now Dwayne Johnson, had to lean out a bit for his acting roles. It made sense. Hollywood didn't need him to be a beast in the ring anymore. Instead, he had to fit the typical leading man mold. Charming, athletic, and of course, fit. But something happened over time that would shock fans and change the course of his career. Around 2010, something inside The Rock snapped. He wasn't content with just being a Hollywood star. He wasn't just going to leave wrestling behind and fade into a life of acting. He was going to redefine himself. By the time he returned to WWE in 2011 for the build-up to his monumental match with John Cena, fans were taken aback. The Rock wasn't just looking good. He looked unreal. He had transformed from the athletic, muscular version of himself into a living, breathing mountain of muscle. Traps that seemed to reach his ears, arms that looked like tree trunks, and a chest that could stop a bullet. This wasn't the same man who had left the ring a decade earlier. This was a superstar, remade, redefined, and ready to take on the world. The moment The Rock walked out on stage in 2011, the crowd erupted. Not just because it was him, but because he looked like a force of nature. His transformation was jaw-dropping. He had clearly dedicated himself to a grueling training regimen, packing on muscle and sculpting his body to perfection. When you think of The Big Show, the first thing that comes to mind isn't exactly shredded abs or a toned physique. For years, his size was his defining feature, and while he could go toe-to-toe with the best in the business, it was his massive frame that made him a true spectacle in the ring. But everything changed in the late 2010s, when fans started to notice something that seemed almost impossible. Big Show was shrinking, not in stature, but in size. The change was dramatic. For years, Big Show had been known for his immense girth. But now, he was dropping pounds and actually gaining definition. It wasn't just a couple of pounds here and there. Big Show was getting lean. Really lean. By the time he was finished, the Big Show had lost over 90 pounds. You could see the transformation week by week. His arms were more defined, his chest less bloated, and he was moving with a newfound agility that made people take notice. The transformation wasn't just about losing weight. It was about reshaping his body completely. And let's be real, this wasn't some temporary get in shape for a match thing. Big Show was all in. He overhauled his diet, training regimen, and mindset. He became the workhorse of his own physical transformation. His once massive frame was now filled with lean muscle, and he had the energy to match. The man who was once criticized for his size now became an example of what dedication, discipline, and hard work could do, regardless of how many years you've spent on top of the mountain. What makes Big Show's transformation so impressive isn't just the fact that he dropped 90 pounds. It's that he proved a point. Even the giants of the world have room to level up. He proved that you're never too big to change, that it's never too late to push yourself to be better. Whether it was for health, performance, or just personal pride, Big Show's transformation showed that size doesn't have to limit you. It can push you to be stronger, leaner, and even more unstoppable than before. So the next time you see the Big Show, don't just think of him as the giant. Think of him as the powerhouse who took control of his destiny and proved that even giants can level up. When Edge was forced into retirement in 2011, it was like a punch to the gut for wrestling fans everywhere. Neck injuries had taken him down, and doctors were certain that he would never step foot in a ring again. The towering superstar who had captivated millions with his energy, charisma, and athleticism was gone. Fans said their goodbyes, and many had to come to terms with the fact that we would never see the rated R superstar perform again. But what followed was something no one expected. Fast forward to 2020. The Royal Rumble event happens and boom! The crowd goes wild. Edge, at 46 years old, walks down that ramp. But this wasn't the same Edge who had left in 2011. The man that entered the ring that night wasn't just a nostalgia act. He looked like a superhero who had just stepped out of a Marvel movie. Gone was the slightly older version of Edge we remembered. In his place stood a ripped, chiseled, and downright intimidating force. His muscles were defined, his physique was sharp, and you could see every vein in his arms, like he was ready to throw down in a battle that had been a decade in the making. What made Edge's return so jaw-dropping wasn't just the fact that he came back after 9 years. It was the sheer transformation his body had gone through during that time off. The Edge that we all remember had retired early, and the whole wrestling world was heartbroken. But when he returned, it was clear that his time away from the ring hadn't been wasted. While most people might be thinking about getting comfortable after stepping away from a high-intensity career, Edge spent his 9 years off completely reshaping his body. He got into the best shape of his life, and he did it all with purpose. Edge wasn't just trying to come back for nostalgia's sake. He came back to prove that he was stronger than ever. And let's be real, when he stepped into the Royal Rumble that night, it wasn't just a triumphant return. It was a statement. And the statement was loud and clear. You don't beat the rated R superstar. He might have been gone for almost a decade, but he was back, and he was ready to fight harder than ever. Edge's physical transformation didn't just make waves with fans. It sent a message to every WWE superstar in the locker room. This wasn't just about returning to the ring. It was about redemption, about proving that no matter the obstacles or the time off, you could come back stronger than ever. It wasn't just a victory over the limitations of his body. It was a victory over age, injury, and the clock itself. The man who once retired due to an injury returned to show that his body wasn't his limit, but his strength. John Morrison was already known for his athleticism and jaw-dropping parkour-inspired moves during his first run in the WWE. The guy could leap off ropes, flip over barricades, and fly through the air like he was part of the Marvel Universe. His physique was always solid, but after his release in 2011, Morrison took it to a whole new level. One that would leave fans scratching their heads when he finally returned to WWE in 2020. After stepping away from WWE, Morrison took the time to pursue other passions: acting, martial arts, and fitness modeling. But despite these new ventures, he didn't forget about wrestling. When he re-entered the WWE in 2020, it wasn't just a return, it was a jaw-dropping transformation. Fans who had already been impressed with his athleticism couldn't believe what they were seeing. He didn't just come back in great shape. Morrison was absolutely shredded. His abs weren't just defined, they looked like they had their own abs. His body wasn't just lean, it was carved out of marble, like someone had spent hours chiseling every muscle into place. Morrison's transformation wasn't just about aesthetics. His agility, already impressive, was now superhuman. He moved with the fluidity and precision of a gymnast, bouncing off the ropes and scaling the turnbuckles with ease. He didn't just hit his high-flying moves like before. He hit them with explosive power, making it clear that he wasn't just playing around. He was there to dominate. His parkour background merged with his new, more shredded physique, creating a performance that was both visually stunning and physically demanding. He moved like Spider-Man, but hit like a wrecking ball, showing fans that his return wasn't just about nostalgia. It was about raising the bar in a way few could. And let's be real, Morrison didn't just come back to do flips and hits. He came back with a physique that would make any superhero jealous. His return to WWE wasn't about proving he could still do the same old moves. It was about showing that time away had made him better, faster, and more dangerous than ever. Morrison's reinvention wasn't just about his wrestling skills. It was about proving that you can come back from anything and make it look effortless, leaving fans in awe of both his athleticism and his ability to evolve. When you saw Morrison in 2020, it was clear he wasn't just back. He was a whole new level of incredible. Drew McIntyre's first WWE run was full of potential, but when it came to his physical presence, he was, well, underwhelming. He had the look of a young prospect, but his body didn't stand out as something special. McIntyre was billed as the chosen one back in the day, but the reality was that his physique just didn't match the hype. The fans weren't convinced, and neither was WWE, because in 2014, Drew was released from the company. But instead of disappearing from the spotlight, he did something rare in the world of wrestling. He used that setback to redefine his career, starting with his body. Drew hit the indies, and this is where the real magic happened. He didn't just get better, he got huge. He put in the work, hitting the gym like a man possessed. He didn't just want to be in shape, he wanted to become a force of nature. He packed on muscle in a way that made him unrecognizable. Thick chest, wide shoulders, and legs that looked like tree trunks. Drew McIntyre wasn't just coming back to WWE, he was coming back as a different man, a beast who looked ready to tear through anyone in his path. Fast forward to 2020, and Drew McIntyre achieved what many thought was impossible. He became WWE Champion, defeating Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. That match wasn't just a crowning moment, it was the culmination of years of hard work, both in the gym and in the ring. McIntyre's journey proves that a transformation isn't just about changing how you look, it's about rewriting your story. The man who was once written off as the chosen one is now one of the most respected and feared champions in WWE. Drew McIntyre is living proof that when you invest in yourself, the story changes and so does your future. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.